April Berry, and it's the week of Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving means one thing: leftovers. We know there's going to be plenty of leftover turkey because the dinner is all about the sides. So what can you do with this big, beautiful bird? I found 5 recipes that are a little lightened up that you will be able to make this week for the future. So I've got 2 freezer meals to share with you, 1 appetizer, and 2 make-ahead meals that you can use. And I've got all the points figured out, and of course all the products that I use are from Aldi, so enjoy. Of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't start with turkey tetrazzini. However, you're going to be thankful for this recipe because I experimented a little bit in order to get 1/6 of this recipe down to 7 smart points.
You begin by sauteing the onions and mushrooms for a couple of minutes. I went ahead and added a teaspoon of olive oil for taste, which just adds 1 point to the entire recipe. Once those are nice and sauteed, you can add the broth and the milk, and you bring it to a rapid boil over high heat. That way you can boil the pasta. I put about 10 ounces of spaghetti in there, and once it's just at al dente, about 10 minutes later, you add in the leftover turkey, and then you finish off the pasta. Once it is nice and cooked and done, you can then put in your yogurt and your Parmesan cheese. I also seasoned with salt and pepper. What was great is I made this for lunch leftovers, and I would saute a little kale in it as well.
You don't only have to make meals out of leftover turkey. Sometimes you need an appetizer. So how about 0-point turkey buffalo dip?
This quick recipe just calls for 4 ounces of turkey, half a cup of non-fat Greek yogurt, half a cup of hot sauce, and some ranch seasoning. Just put it in till it's warm, and then you've got a nice warm appetizer for 0 points.
The first freezer meal that I have for you is turkey teriyaki. You can use this, put it together, put it in your freezer, forget about it for a while. When you need a meal and you're short on time, pop it in the fridge overnight to defrost. Throw it in the slow cooker the next day and serve over rice, and you have an easy meal.
This is great when you want to get rid of the turkey, you want to get it out of your fridge. You just put all these ingredients together, put it in a Ziploc bag, and stick it in the freezer. I always, when I'm making freezer meals, I always write the directions directly on the bag. That way I don't have to pick my brain trying to think of what to do with the frozen mess once I'm ready to cook it. So I just put all the ingredients in there in no specific order. The thing I like about this recipe, and all the details are on my blog linked below, is that you can add just stir-fry vegetables. And this packet of sauce I'm going to save for when I have wontons or pot stickers. I can have another use for that, so I just stick it back in the freezer. But all of those beautiful vegetables I put in with a leftover turkey that I need to get out of the fridge and need to get into the freezer. And then I just season it with garlic, honey, which I will have a lot of trouble, as you'll see, getting out of the bottle. And then soy sauce and rice vinegar. I also have some minced ginger and some salt and pepper that I add as well. Everything except for the rice wine vinegar did come from Aldi.
The last recipe I'm showing you today is a turkey cheddar broccoli rice casserole. This recipe will make 2-gallon size freezer bags full. So you can either use both bags in one 9x11 or 9x13 casserole dish, or you can use this recipe 2 different times in an 8x8 casserole dish.
This, of course, could be a lower point meal for anyone on the purple plan if you use quinoa or if you use brown rice. But it's so simple to mix. All you just need is chopped broccoli, 2 cans of soup, 1 cream of chicken, 1 cream of mushroom. You need 5 cups of rice and a couple cups of chopped chicken. You'll see I also have the fat-free cheddar in the background. I did have a little trouble measuring it out simply because I forgot to pull it out of the freezer early. So I was working with some frozen cheddar. But you'll see how easy this is to put together and to mix up and get into bags. And again, this is great if you are full of turkey and you need a way to put it in the freezer for another time when you haven't had days and days of turkey in a row. You'll see here that I'm using a scale. I zeroed out the scale with the bag and the bowl on each, just to get an idea that I was mixing or filling each bag evenly. That way it's easier for me to portion. I know that 1/4 of each bag is equal to the set amount of points. Remember to check my blog that I have linked below for all of these specific recipes. Again, I just flatten out the bags, make sure all the air is out, and then they freeze nice and flat in my freezer so there's not a lot of space taken by all of these wonderful meals that I can pull out. This one I just pull out overnight from the freezer, put in the fridge overnight to thaw. The next day you put it in a prepared casserole dish, so a casserole dish with cooking spray in it, and you put it in the oven until it is nice and bubbly and warm.
Another way you can use leftover shredded turkey is by creating enchiladas. So the next recipe I have for you is turkey verde enchiladas.
Now we use this variation on an enchilada recipe very often. Usually we make it with chuck roast, but how we used it this time for leftover turkey is we stuck the turkey, you'll see that it's prepared here on the left, but we had put it in the crock pot with 2 cups of salsa, a cup of broth, and taco seasoning. You could either use prepackaged taco seasoning, or we just look up on Pinterest taco seasoning from scratch. So it's using cumin, garlic powder, onion powder, cayenne pepper, paprika, oregano, etc. And we just put the seasonings in the crock pot and we let it warm up. And this kind of rehydrates the plain turkey meat and seasons and flavors it very nicely. After you have the seasoned turkey meat, I prepare the pan, the casserole dish, with a little bit of Verde enchilada sauce on the bottom. And then you see I've got my scale out. I put between 3 or 4 ounces of turkey breast into each Olay Wellness wrap, which is only a point each on WW Blue Plan. I also filled it with like an onion cilantro mixture, a spoonful of the Verde sauce, and then I put a little bit of fat-free cheese on the inside also. For Verde, we usually use a white sprinkled cheese. It happened to be mozzarella. Because it's so little cheese, I can hardly tell the difference, whether it would be enchilada or some other more appropriate cheese for a Mexican dish. Anyhow, I just kind of powered through, putting a little bit of fat-free cheese, 3 to 4 ounces of turkey, and the Verde sauce in each roll-up, and placed it in the dish. All you have to do after this is finish by pouring the rest of the Verde sauce over all of the enchiladas, and then you place this in the oven, or it can be in the fridge for up to 2 or 3 days before you put it into the oven. Once you put it in the oven, we put it at 350 until the cheese is melty on top and the sauce is bubbling throughout the dish.
I hope you found value in some of the recipes that I offered up today, lighter versions of some of our favorites. Hey, what is your favorite leftover turkey recipe? Did I miss one? Pop yours in the comments, and then don't forget to hit subscribe before you leave. Thank you. Have a great day.